I would love if you could share some of your thoughts with us, love and service and anything that you want to.
Krishna uses the same phrase or with slight variations. Yomad bhaktaha same priyaha. One who is devoted to me, that person is my beloved.
Scriptures aside, we are here in England or wherever we live. What is bhakti?
It's a state of consciousness. There's no set of rules and regulations about how it should be applied. But if Dharma means primarily a transformation of consciousness towards that which is benign.
This devotional path is not just a devotional path that we might practice in the morning puja, or it's much deeper than that. As much as Nick said earlier, it's a state of consciousness, of unconditional love that can be applied with heart, body, and mind, that we can do it at every level. Friends, today is a very special evening. So good to see you all. And I feel selfishly blessed that I've managed to convince Dr. Nicholas Sutton to join us for a short while. Hypnotized him earlier, and he's here with us. So we are blessed, and just quickly, I want to say that Nick is one of the most incredible human beings I've ever come across in my life. A dear friend, an acharya, but just whatever you see in Godharmic, the many of the ideas have been formulated through the expression of Nick's life's work, from the Mahabharata, Gita, everything we do, and we are just the monkeys that run around to try and do some of this work that he's spoken so wonderfully about. So if you can, please do have your videos on, some of you who are there, so that Nick can also see you and we can also enjoy his time. But I'll keep quiet now and allow Nick to share whatever he wants to. We're at the beginning of chapter 12, love and devotion. So and there's no greater time. And Nick is also has been instrumental at the Oxford Center for Hindu Studies, and there is a new Bhagavad Gita course there, which will be exploring chapters 1 to 6, which I think will be wonderful for everyone to also be a part of. It's incredible. And also the Bhagavad Gita book. But also we have 3 books together, which is the Hanuman Chalisa book, Power of Dharma, and Pearls of Wisdom from Hinduism that we've done, and hopefully many more. Yeah, Nick, I would love if you could share some of your thoughts with us on love and service and anything that you want to share with this wonderful group that's been with us from the beginning of the year, exploring the Bhagavad Gita. We're up to chapter 12, and there's no greater time for you to come in and share something with us. So over to you, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Hanuman Das. Yes, chapter 12 of the Gita is probably most notable for a couple of things. One is, if you look at verse 7, if you can see that, Krishna says, Teshamaham samudhartar mityu samsara sagarat, that I lift them up, those who are devoted. It's a really substantial statement of the doctrine of grace. And in the second half of the chapter, several times, 4 or 5 times, Krishna uses the same phrase or with slight variations. Yomad bhaktaha same priyaha. One who is devoted to me, that person is my beloved. And he uses the word priya, which perhaps many will be familiar with already. It's often used, I see, for girls' names, and it's an expression of emotion. There's an attachment there, and I think that's quite remarkable. And it stands out in the Gita, and it sets the tone, I think, for trends in subsequent lines of Indian thought, this emotional outpouring on the part of the devotee and also on the part of the deity, who is Krishna himself. So Yomad Bhaktaha Same Priyaha. It first appears in verse 14, I think, and it's significant to look back at verse 13 and verse 14, because they explain who is that bhakta, Yomad Bhaktaha Same Priyaha, who is beloved. And in verse 13, he starts off with Nadvaishtya Kushalam Kar Advaisha Sarva Bhutanam, without any hatred or malice for any other living being. Advaisha Sarva Bhutanam Maitra Karuna Evacha. Maitra is derived from the word friend, mitra. It means friendship, outgoing, an outlook on the world and other living beings, utterly benign, wanting no harm for anyone, wishing to help. Maitra. And Karuna is mercy. It's feeling the sorrows of others as one's own sorrows and taking whatever action one can to alleviate them. That's karuna. So it's important, I think, although one is naturally drawn to that statement, Yomad Bhaktaha Same Priyaha, it's important to look back previously about the qualities that are by which the bhakta is defined by Krishna in the Gita. And I want to just briefly, because the idea of bhakti and devotion, it doesn't come first in chapter 12. No doubt you've already encountered it in the particularly chapter 7 and chapter 9. And there's a verse in chapter 9, it's verse 13, I think. Krishna speaks of the Mahatmas, the great soul, Mahatma. Mahatmanas tumam parta daivim prakritim ashritaha. So it says the Mahatmas who worship him. He talks there, Mahatmanas tumam parta daivim prakritim ashrita. They are, they resort to, they move to, they take shelter of the divine nature. And what does that mean? Daivim prakritim ashritaha. Prakriti usually means matter, but here Krishna is using the term, using the word in terms of one's individual nature, and he says that is divine. Daivim prakritim ashritaha. That's the way the Mahatmas go. And so, what does that mean? Daivim prakritim. And I think here, if we want to understand what that means, we have to look to chapter 16. Which is no doubt coming up in a few weeks' time. And in the beginning of chapter 16, Krishna talks of something which he calls the Daivi Sampad, the position that is divine, which is virtually equivalent to Daivim Prakritim Ashrita. And in 3 verses, he defines what that means, the Daivi Sampad, and particularly I'm drawn to the second of those 3 verses, which starts off by saying, Himsa Satyam Akrodas. We know means never harming another living being. This is the Daivi Sampad. This is what the bhaktas, they aspire towards, or they even possess. Ahimsa, Satyam is honesty, and akroda means being free from anger. So, ahimsa, Satyam, akrodas, tyagaha, shantir, apoishunam. Tyagaha, being willing to give things up. Shantir, as we just heard, it's peacefulness, tranquility of mind. Tyagaha, shantir, apoishunam. That means free of any sense of malice, no enemies. It reminds me of a little story I heard when there was a Christian missionary speaking to Mahatma Gandhi, and he said, I think my religion is superior because it teaches me to love my enemies. And Gandhi replied, oh, impossible for me because my religion teaches me to have no enemies. So, appoishunam, not feeling of malice, dislike of anyone, even as we know, some people in this world are obnoxious, but one still seems sympathy towards such persons and realize everybody is in the same boat to some degree, suffering from various maladies. And then next line he says, and I think this is perhaps the most important line in the whole of the Gita. I'm still talking about chapter 16, verse 2 here. Doyabhuteshva loluptvam. Doyabhuteshu means compassion for all living beings. That's what it feels. Aloluptva means and free from greed. So I think in a sense that half line in chapter 16 sums up the whole work of Godharmic, and it shows that the actions of the compassionate mind, or the actions that the compassionate mind brings into being, are really what devotion is all about. I'm sure my grandfather would agree with that. He was always one complaining about bells and smells in the churches. But the point is there, and I've mentioned several times, I think, in the Shiv Puran, it says, it explains Shiva Rajanam, what is worship of Shiva? And that is behaving towards other living beings with kindness and compassion. It says, just as a father is pleased when sons, daughters, grandchildren are pleased, are given pleasure by someone, so Shiva is delighted by the way we can bestow happiness as much as we can on other living beings. So that line's there, Doyabhuteshva loluptavam. And then Mardavam Kriya Achapalam, which means Mardavam, again, is friendship. Kriya is modesty. Mardavam Kriya Achapalam, and steadfastness, sticking to what one knows to be best. So I think I'll conclude there and just tie up with that. And I hope you enjoyed reading through chapter 12 and that phrase, of course, Yomad Bhakta Hasame Priya Bhakti Man Yo Priya. But bear in mind what Krishna says at first in chapter 13, the qualities of the one who is defined as a Bhakta is Advaita Sarvabhutranam Maitraha Karuna Evacha. Okay, I'll conclude there.
Nick, I just wanted to ask you, this is wonderful knowledge on bhakti and spirituality, but on a practical level, when you're going to Tesco's to buy your vegetables and your food, how do you apply bhakti in the real life on a practical level? Like, just scriptures aside, we are here in England or wherever we live. What is bhakti in the world now?
It's a state of consciousness. There's no set of rules and regulations about how it should be applied. But if Dharma means primarily a transformation of consciousness towards that which is benign. And so there's various things. Every day we encounter various situations. And if we have the compassionate state of mind, then we'll, for the most part, sometimes we make mistakes, but for the most part, we will act accordingly. So just keep that state of mind, that outlook on the world, and then everything falls into place naturally. Like my son, I £10 to go to the shop the other day to get me one or two items. And when he came back, I asked him, where's the change? And he said, I gave it to a homeless man. So my son was very compassionate with my money. But that's the sort of thing. And sometimes I think as well, we have an emotional mind which pushes us in the wrong direction. And then we have a rational part of the mind which knows what is good and what is right. And then when we feel emotions and sentiments arising that we know are not, with the rational mind knows are not good and right, then we allow the rational mind to take control over the the emotional mind. So when I go to the supermarket, I sometimes see a homeless man there, and my son says, "Oh, they don't really homeless, they're just begging." But I think to myself, well, there's two possibilities here. One, I give the money to a person who is undeserving, which I don't really want to do. Or secondly, that I refuse to give money to a person who may well be hungry tonight as a result, and which is the option that to avoid most, and that is allowing someone to go hungry at night. And that's my rational mind that tells me that it's not an immediate outpouring of emotional generosity that I feel, because I'm just not that kind of person. But my rational mind dictates to me that is the right thing to do. And so in that way, watch yourself and not just be yourself. Is that okay?
Thank you. That's so beautiful. And you're very much a liar when you say you're not giving, because I've seen you since the first moment I've met you giving everything to everybody, through the seva of knowledge and wisdom and time and effort. So thank you for continuously giving, and thank you for inspiring us all to do the work we do at Go Dharmic, and being there. But we'll let you go.
Okay.
And thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
very
being
much. It's been a privilege.
We love you very much. Thank you.
Ah, that's so good.
Well, I think we can all go home now. So just to share with everybody that Nick has been, for me, Maharaji showed me this, but Nick showed me how we can apply it through this and with this, through practical means of application of Dharma. So when we talk about what Go Dharmic is, obviously we have that motto of love all, feed all, serve all, but on a systematic, practical manner, this study that we've done together and the books that we produce formulate it into a way that we can use it in the real world for everyday good. That's education projects or food poverty alleviation, disaster relief, advocacy for a more loving and dharmic world. And that's what I hope that you will all receive from Nick. And I hope you really enjoyed his knowledge and wisdom on the Gita, which I think is unparalleled, definitely in the UK, but maybe in the world. I think his knowledge of the Gita is unparalleled. So I would very much recommend his Gita course. He will give you a neutral view of the Gita to explore. I'm much more selfish. Like, I have an agenda. I want to promote Dharma and love, and get everyone to be involved with us. But Nick is an academic, so when we did the Hanuman Chalisa book, I decided to keep our texts separate, so that his one gives you that kind of his meaning from the textual translation, and then my one gives a lot of the Maharaji Bhava and the sugary stuff, for those of you who like sweet stuff. So speaking of sweet stuff, let's go into Bhagavad Gita. For the previous weeks, I kind of gone back a few verses, like the waves would do in the ocean, and then come back out. I'm not going to do that for the first time in this week, because I feel I just want to start straight with Bhakti Yoga, and we've had that beautiful introduction from Nick on what Bhakti is being. But really, we're exploring unalloyed devotion, unalloyed love. For me, love is a much more beautiful word than devotion. I don't know why. It just comes natural to me that I love the word love. So many times when I see the word written, I don't translate it as devotion. I like to translate as love. So when we speak about what we understand to be bhakti, we would call it unalloyed love, unconditional love, as Ram Dass would call it. Again, if anybody is up for the challenge, let's memorize Bhagavad Gita chapter 12, because one, it's bhakti, it's love, but two, it's the shortest and easiest chapter to memorize of the Gita. So if you want to get one chapter under your belt and get that confidence, it's only half of the length of the Hanuman Chalisa, 20 verses. It's a very achievable goal um, to understand that chapter and to place it here within the heart. So we're going to go a little bit slower through the Bhakti Yoga verses. And before we do, I want to share two books that I believe are the oceans of Bhakti. And there are many books on Bhakti. There are many Bhakti scriptures, many Bhakti texts. The first is the Sri Ram Charitmanas, which you can get in India, which I hope those who are coming to the Himalayas with us will give everybody a copy of this as a gift from me, for the princely price of 300 rupees, which is £3. You'll get this big text, and this is the ocean of devotion. This is, I'm actually writing a commentary on this, which is nearly finished, called The Gospel of Love. And this Gita Press Ramcharitmanas is gorgeous and beautiful, but that is a devotion to Ram, and I'll read 5 verses that we've pulled out from the Ramcharitmanas to give you that understanding of what bhakti is from the Ramcharitmanas. I know no other path apart from love. All other actions are subordinate to loving remembrance of the Lord. The remedy for the disease of this world of birth and death is the holy feet of Ram. Without love for Ram, there is no cure for worldly suffering. O Bharata, destiny is so powerful. See how this deep ocean of Maya, delusion, without devotion to Hari. O dear one, this world is only darkness created by Maya. Without the bhajan of Hari, I have no faith in any dharma, merit, or even in the Vedas. Without love, there is nothing, for love gives meaning to life. Just as a lotus cannot survive without water, or a bird without the sky, so too, discipline, virtue, or knowledge can never flourish without the waters of loving devotion. These are just some of the verses from the Ramcharitmanas. The other beautiful text, which I really love, is the Srimad Bhagavad Purana, which is, I've got a smaller summary version of it here, but I have the full version hidden somewhere. But there's a text on Bhakti Yoga, some selections from the Bhagavata. And the Bhagavad Purana is the text on the life of Krishna. So although Krishna is speaking the Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavad Purana goes into deep devotion and detail on that love, like the Ramcharitmanas. So I think that those two books together are the oceans of love. But the Gita for us is the all-round life book. It has bhakti, it has emotional resilience, it has inner strength, it has service, karma yoga, meditation, gyan, virtues, good living. It has everything in the Bhagavad Gita. But I guess if you wanted to do a PhD on devotion, then the Ramcharitmanas and the Srimad Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Purana are the good texts. And some of the verses from the Bhagavad Purana might be, only through single-minded loving devotion can I truly be known. I become dear to the hearts of those whose love is filled with faith and devotion. I do not dwell in Vaikuntha, which is heaven, Vaikuntha Loka, nor in the hearts even of great yogis. I dwell, O Narada, wherever devotees sing my name with love. That is where I am present. And in Bhakti, we find that great devotion to the name. Wherever there is pure devotional love, all divine qualities will naturally reside. The gods themselves dwell in such a pure heart. The one who is silent amidst praise or blame, content with whatever comes, unattached to place or possessions, but full of unwavering love, that person is dear to me. We get some idea from the later scriptures on devotion. Bhagavad Gita much earlier, but we'll see that now as we come into those verses. And please forgive me in advance because I want to go slow here. I just want to squeeze the juice out of the fruits as we go through these verses. So although it's the shortest chapter, we'll probably spend the longest amount of time on it. And I'll read some things from Maharaji's Miracles of Love as well on Bhakti that I've written out. So I'm going to recite the Sanskrit verses as well, just so you get an idea of how often Krishna is talking about love. And the chapter starts, it's called Bhakti Yoga, and it starts a question from Arjuna, which is quite beautiful. Arjuna uvacha evam satata yukta ye bhaktas-tvam pariyupasate ye chapaksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Arjuna is asking, I want to know who has the best knowledge. Is it those who are constantly in loving devotion, worshipping you? Or is it those who seek you as the unchangeable, the unmanifest, the avyaktam, which basically is referring to Brahman or the non-dual state? Many people in spiritual circles ask this kind of question or explore this. Even today, I find this a very common discussion where people might say, I'm, spiritual but not religious. I'm not religious, but I just like spirituality in the world. I don't want to have any blue gods or murtis or mantras or chanting of any name or anything. I just want spirituality alone. I want the unmanifest divinity. And then there are those who practice various mantras and rituals or service in a particular way or chanting verses or visiting temples or mosques and churches and devotion through religion or religious practice at least, or devotion or love. And Arjuna is asking, which one's better? Krishna, which one's better? I know you are all of it. I've seen your form. I've seen the most terrifying form of all of existence within your very being. Now tell me which path is better. This is crucial. Like Arjuna's asking, should I follow the path of non-duality or meditation or jnana or yoga, or should I cultivate love? Should I cultivate bhakti and devotion? And Krishna says in response to this question, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Veshamano Yemam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayopeta Te Me Yukta Tamamata. Krishna is very clear in his response. I consider those who approach me with devotion, with firm faith, fixing their minds on me as the best of yogis. Very clear response there. But we must read the next response as to why Krishna says this and what is that response, because it's not only that that person is better because they're in love, it's because of the ease of that practice. Not that one is better than the other. The one will find it easier through love. This is an idea which carries forward up to the present day, where we say, Maharaji used to say, Ram naam karne se sab pura ho jata hai. We don't need to do anything. Just from reciting the name, everything is achieved. Well, that carries forward from here, where bhakti, where love is so exemplified in practice. Ye tvak sharama nirdesham avyaktam pariyupasate sarvatra gamachintyam cha kutastvatra chalam dhruvam. But they too will reach me, who control the senses and who are working for the welfare of all beings, who approach the absolute, the unmanifest, the unchangeable, the indefinable, the all-pervading, beyond thought, the highest, the immovable, the forever fixed, the impersonal form of the absolute. They too will reach me. All rivers lead to the ocean. All paths lead to the top of the mountain. This is that idea. I think that in those few verses, Krishna essentially answers Arjuna's question. That look, if you follow the path of loving devotion, it's just easier. It's sweeter. It's like medicine with sugar. Ultimately, it's all medicine. All of the path, meditation, all sadhana is good. But the sweetness, that which is done with loving devotion, is so much easier. So we should cling to that. Ram, 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 as Maharaji would do at every moment. You know, I've shared this before, but I'll share it again, that when we visit Kenchi Dham, on the left-hand side, there's this huge feeding hall where all of the bandaras take place, all of the cooking. There's vast vessels for cooking meals, and hundreds and thousands of people pass through there and take prasad and eat and enjoy prasad there. And one of Maharaji's great devotees, Prema, a dear friend of mine who passed away a few years ago, she pointed out to me, look up there on the roof of the Bandara hall where the feeding takes place. It says Advaita Ashram, non-duality ashram, where all of the beings who are being fed in that space are divinity. We are all the part of the divine. And then on the right-hand side, when you look across here, you see all of these beautiful murtis and temples of Shiva and Parvati and the goddess and Hanuman and Ram and the Devi, and like all of these wonderful temples you'll see there. And you think that, okay, here is a non-Advaita ashram, and here is all of this beautiful bhakti and devotion, all in the same place. So I really see that ultimately this is all one, sab-ek, as Maharaji would say, but carrying forward that sweetness of love and devotion is really essential. And even when we're feeding people, even when we're doing a food distribution, I look at it as bhakti. It's a prasad distribution, where we are just giving prasad to another form of the divine, another form of Ram and Krishna, in the form of those who are struggling, those who are homeless, those who are vulnerable, and those who are in need of help. And that is also just an offering in the temple, offering to another Ram. Sanniyam indriya gramam sarvatra samabuddhayaha te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hitairataha. Trouble is greater, however, for those whose hearts are fixed on the unmanifest alone. Indeed, the path of unmanifest is difficult for those who are embodied in the world. Krishna goes on to emphasize that the path of yoga, or the path of non-duality, or recognizing that existence, is the more difficult path. That is tough journey. I imagine images of yogis standing in the Himalayas on one leg, doing great tapasya, trying to regulate their senses and manage all of that in the world. And then on the other side, I see Maharaji drinking chai, laughing with the devotees, singing Ram Nam and Kirtan until 3 o'clock in the morning, as a sweeter and easier path to that. Kleshodikataraste avyakta shakta chetasham avyakta hirgatir dukkham devahadbhiravopyate. O Arjuna, for those who dedicate their actions to me, for those who dedicate their actions to me, who meditate upon me with undivided attention, and whose minds dwell on me, for them I become a swift deliverer from the ocean of repeated birth and death. So I'll just go back and read those few verses. Klesho dikataras desham avyakta shakta chetasham avyakta hirgatir dukkham devahadbhiravapyate. This is one of my favorite verses, very beautiful. Yetu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matparaha ananyaneva yogena mam dhyayantu apasyate. Yetu sarvani karmani, all of stuff, all of the things that you're doing in the world of your life. Yetu sarvani, you, tu sarvani, all of your karmani, all of your work, all of the things that you're doing in your world, all of the busyness, the stuff for your livelihood, the stuff for your devotion, the stuff for your children and your parents and your family and your friends and your work, all of your work in the world. Yetu sarvani karmani, all of that work. Mai sanyasya, put it on me. Like, why are you carrying that? Give it to me. Just put it on me. I will take it. Matparaha, put it on me. Ananyenena yogena mam dhyayante upasate. You just put it on me. Put that yoga of all of your work upon me. Desham aham samuddartaha mrityu samsara sagarat Bhavami nachirat partha maya vesha chetasham. And for those with undivided attention, whose minds live within me, who dwell on me, for them I become a swift deliverer from this ocean of life and death, from the ocean of repeated birth and death. Mrityu samsara sagarat. So really we hear in those few verses there that if you put all of your stuff, put it all on Ram. Like just give it all up to Ram and let him take care of it. You do it, you do the work, but don't be attached to it. The suffering is in the attachment. When it's all done as an offering to God, what else is there that you need? You've just given it all up. And the very word is sannyasa. So here we have what renunciation means. In our world, we think that renunciation is becoming a nun or a monk or a sannyasi. The very word is renunciation. But the word in the Gita is not talking about the wearing of orange robes and giving up the family life and giving up the work. Sannyasa here is talking about sannyasa of the attachment to the world, instead acting in devotion and love and just having that trust that God is there for you and that there is nothing at all to worry about. And that gives you mrityu samsara. Mrityu means death. It's the world of samsara, sagarat, the ocean, transcending that. It gives us the swift deliverance from the ocean of repeated birth and death and suffering. And I feel that these are very, very poetic and beautiful verses of the Bhagavad Gita. Yetu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matparaha ananyanyeva yogena mam dhyayanti upasate. Desham aham samuddartaha mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami nachirat partha mai avesha chetasham. I'd like to pause on that verse there because it's extraordinarily special that we think about those ideas and I think this devotional path is not just a devotional path that we might practice in the morning puja, or it's much deeper than that. As much as Nick said earlier, it's a state of consciousness of unconditional love that can be applied with heart, body, and mind, that we can do it at every level, from the actions that we take in the world to our devotion in the morning. I watched a beautiful documentary a few days ago on the life of K.K. Shah, who was the very beloved of Ram Dass. I was just in tears watching these videos of him talking. And Marcus, who was one of the producers of the documentary, he said that KK was staying at his house, and KK liked to eat pizza, and they were in America, and he said, "Okay, shall we go for pizza?" And then he Raghu was out of the door and almost waiting to the car, and he was thinking, "Where is KK?" And he looks back, and KK is walking around the whole home, and everywhere there is a sacred image of Hanumanji or the Buddha or Christ, or all of the murtis in the house. He goes around and prays to all of them before leaving the house. And everywhere in the house he has that. So if he sees the sun, he prays, "Oh, there's the sun. Oh, Surya Narayan," or however. And then that KK had that state of consciousness. And whenever I went to this house, I got another one of these books. So I'm hoping that when we go to the Himalaya retreat, when we go to KK's home, I hope that we'll pull out Ramcharitmanas for everyone and continue KK's tradition of giving a Ramcharitmanas to everybody who comes to that home. And I hope that people can sense the bhav saw, who did the lap of Maharaji's grace and that love of devotion. And all he wanted to do really was serve people, and in particular the Westerners who wanted to come to Maharaji. And after Ram Dass died, within weeks, KK left. He was like, I've done my work. My work is done. Ram Dass is done. He was the bridge to Maharaji. And honestly, I don't think I would know about Maharaji. Maharaji used KK as a vehicle for us to connect with that love. So I feel that these great siddhas and saints and sages and acharyas are such a blessing, like Nick and KK, and are really a source of connection to that divinity that is really right here and now with us, and is so sweet that we can connect to that love. So yeah, I'll pause there on the idea of unconditional love, and would love to hear from some of you. So thank you everyone for joining. Look forward to seeing you next week.